Hey guys, it's Josh. Today we're going to go over how you can use your F5 to decrypt traffic with ExtraHop. So let's get into it. So this is going to be a lot of steps to F5, but just stick with me. The doc is really good. There's a lot of pieces we need to set up, but it's not overly complicated, not a lot of CLI. And once you get it set up, the outcome is you can use your F5 and ExtraHop to do out-of-band decryption without touching any of your actual servers. And so it's a powerful way to open up those opaque, secure tunnels without having to break the SSL connection and get inside and see detections and see everything that's happening on your infrastructure that would otherwise be opaque or invisible for a detection engine. So let's get into it. So what are we trying to do here? So you can see there's a client connecting right here in this diagram in the docs, and it's going through F5. We're able to then use a sideband connection here that we're going to create to have F5 send data over to ExtraHop on the individual keys so that we can decrypt what you tell ExtraHop to decrypt based on the servers you elect to have associated with the F5 I rule. So we can actually pick and choose what servers are associated once you have that sideband connection. All right, so let's walk into it. So what do you need? The prerequisites: access to an ExtraHop system. You obviously need access to your F5. When you go into ExtraHop, you actually need to turn on the SSL shared secret license. I can kind of show you where that is under all administration here. If you look up services up on the top here, you can go system services, and then you can turn on the SSL session key receiver. So that needs to be on and rocking for this to be able to work. So that's what we basically need to do within ExtraHop. So there's a number of steps we need to do within F5. We're going to create I rules that we're going to associate with the sideband and individual servers. We're going to create cipher rules that are associated with which ones we're going to use to export in a group for that shared secret receiver. We're going to do an SSL profile for the sideband connection to the ExtraHop system. We're going to create nodes and a pool for the ExtraHop system, and then a secret sideband virtual server that's going to help coordinate this. And then we're going to assign the I rule to the actual server that requires PFS decryption. So that's a lot of steps, but once it's set up, that sideband's rocking and rolling. It just works really well, and it's easy for you to turn off and on decryption through your F5 rather than having to mess with agents or touching any of the production systems. Okay, first and foremost, you got to create an I rule to be able to do the shared secret export. The documentation for the I rule to be able to use it is at the bottom of this. The shout out to the tech pubs. You can just copy and paste it in here. So you're going to go into your F5 under local traffic. You're going to go to I rules, and you're going to create an I rule here. Mine's already built. It's on the second page here. And then on the second page here, you can see here's the export. And then you're going to copy whatever it is that's on the bottom of this document into that I rule, and then save it as each of the individual I rules is called out here. So shared secret sideband and shared secret export. Again, bottom of this doc actually has the text that it's easy to copy. So you're going to create those two I rules. Rock and roll. Then you're going to create a cipher rule. This establishes the policy of the ciphers that are required to be accepted by the ExtraHop system. So we got to know what the ciphers are. So you can actually copy this over. You can grab this and copy this into the F5. So we're going to go to local traffic and ciphers here. And so we're in local traffic, cipher rules. And I can see here's the ExtraHop cipher rule. I'm just going to grab that text and put it right in here and hit save and call it ExtraHop cipher rule. Rock on. Okay, so now we have that. We got my cipher rules telling it which ones we're going to use. Then we got to create a group. You're going to create so you can add a rule to this as we created in the previous step. Okay, so where do we do that? We're going to go in local traffic and ciphers and groups. So let's go in here. We're going to go ciphers, and then instead of rules, we're going to go groups. Got to have a rule and a group. There's the ExtraHop cipher group. Okay, and then we're going to assign that individual cipher group in here. So when it talks about here is like, all right, ciphers group, and then the name ExtraHop shared secret cipher group. So we're going to create that group, and then we're going to actually, in the cipher creation section, the available cipher rule section, we're going to add this shared secret cipher rule. So basically adding that cipher rule into this group, combining it, allowing us to know what ciphers are going to be associated with that sideband decryption or PFS exchange. Okay. What's the next thing we need? So we now have an SSL profile that's going to be assigned to the sideband connection. So when it's directed to the sideband system, the data will travel over SSL from the F5 to the session key receiver on the ExtraHop system. So this allows us to have an established SSL profile between the F5 and the ExtraHop. So we're going to go into local traffic profiles, SSL, and then click server. So we're going to go profiles, SSL, and then server. So in here, What's the F? It's going to be, which one was it that it wanted me to create on here? I want to make sure I get the right one. And the name for ExtraHop shared secret SSL profile. So I want to make sure I have that right. So the ExtraHop shared secret SSL profile is there. Perfect. So in here, then we're going to create that based on what it says in here. So it's going to be able to say enables. So that's optional. So basically, we just need to create this SSL profile. Pretty straightforward here. And then you add that cipher grouping in here for the ExtraHop shared cipher group. Rock and roll. So mine's already created, so it's not going to look exactly like yours, but you get the idea. Just follow what it says in there for the fields that you need, and you'll have the SSL profile set up. All right, cool. So what's the next thing? Now we need to create a node. So you specify the IP address of the ExtraHop system to identify it as a server in your environment. So we need to know where to send this data back and forth on the SSL sideband. So we're going to local traffic nodes and then create. So let's go back to F5. Local traffic, which is where we spend most of our time. So I'm going to go to the node list. I'm not going to create one. Mine's already created. Here's the actual ExtraHop sensor. So we need to make sure that it's being set up the way we want it to. So in the configuration, so it's the management IP of the ExtraHop. So I got that in there. In the configuration section, select the health margin you want to apply for the node. So ICMP to verify reachability. So this is going to be up to you as far as what you want for those health monitors. But the most important thing is you have the IP address of the ExtraHop system. All right, now we're going to create a pool. You'll create a single node pool. So this allows us to associate the node to the pool. And when session keys are sent in the sideband, they will be sent over SSL sessions to the single ExtraHop system node in the pool. It's basically adhering to the F5 nomenclature, pools and nodes and groups. And then we're going to associate. All these pieces will be together, and that all creates up that sideband connection. All right, so now we're going to go into local traffic, click pools, and then create. And so here we'll have pool of my pool list. I already have my pool for my sensor. I'm going to know, this pool is available, and I can say who are the members of this pool, and it's going to show me here's the sensor on that service port of 4873, which has already been created. So just follow these steps on here for service port 4873, TCP 443 to create that pool for the ExtraHop secret receiver. Now we're going to create a virtual server. We're almost done here. Stick with me, guys. So this virtual server assigned a virtual IP address in the F5 environment that maps the pool we created in the next step. So this allows us to have the final piece of the puzzle to make sure that sideband connection can send that data securely back and forth, the keys it needs to decrypt, and so that no one else can mess with them. And it's also encrypted in transit. Okay. So we're going to go into local traffic, virtual servers, and then create. So virtual servers, let me go to my list here. And then I have my shared secret sideband. I'm going to go create in your case. And then I'm going to follow the steps to be able to do that in here. So we're going to assign the SSL shared secret profile that we created before. And we're going to walk through and make sure it looks exactly like this within our virtual server that we're creating. So just make sure you follow the service port and that IP addressing is correct. And you should be on your way. Again, no CLI. I know it's a lot of fields to fill out. And then you're going to make sure you allow this enabled iRules for that secret proto in here as well that we created at the very beginning. So under the iRule section, select shared secret proto. And then we're going to make sure that that's associated with it, right? So there's my SSL profile. And then that allows me to be able to see that we're having this sideband connection being. Okay. So I can see, let me see if I can. Yeah, there's the iRule that's associated with it right there. So once you complete it, it shows up here under the resources. Okay. So that's that. Okay, now, take a breath. We've done everything to create the sideband. Now we need to tell the F5 which servers do you have yours that you want to decrypt. So we're going to assign the iRule to the virtual server within your environment that you want to have PFS decryption on, have that F5 and ExtraHop handle the transport of those SSL keys out of BAM. So we're going to go to local traffic and virtual servers, and then we're going to start to pick the servers that we care about. So in this case, I called it VIP virtual server, which is just a generic name our docs teams use. In my case, I think we said virtual server list. I think the server we use in my demo is called Hackathon. So this server is going to be created. And we're going to assign out the individual profile that we want, and then we're going to make sure we assign under when we're creating this, the iRule of that export shared secret. That'll tell the F5 to export the PFS and SSL keys in real time via that sideband connection so that we can then send that over to ExtraHop for real time decryption. So it has the keys to be able to decrypt those individual SSL connections, because without those, it's just going to see it as SSL. We have the keys, we can unlock it. It'll turn to HTTPS or whatever the underlying protocol is, and we're rock and rolling without ever having to touch the production servers because we're using the power and horsepower of the F5. All right, so we're gonna in the clip virtual servers. Our example is the virtual server. So have the virtual servers that you care about on there that you want for that are associated with the F5, and then we're going to associate that I rule with it. That does the expert shares the secret, and then boom, you're done. So now we can just validate in ExtraHop that this is all happening. So I set this up the other day here, and what you're going to see here is HTTPS is going to all of a sudden spike. I went in and generated some traffic to one of this web server on Hackathon. So a couple areas that you can validate that this is happening. Under SSL of the servers that you created into that virtual server environment, you're going to see decrypted sessions. And so I can actually go and start to see, all right, what are the individual transactions, who's connecting? So I can see that this was me from that jump box that I was creating those connections, like right here. This is me creating those yesterday. I set this up in the morning and I hit this web server and it was decrypting at the time. Then I turned it back off, right? So that shows that we have decrypted sessions going on. The real money is at under HTTP. So now we've decrypted that during that time period. But check this out, guys. During that same time we had decryption, look what we have. We opened it up and I have all the underlying URIs that we can now have. So now we've opened up that decryption tunnel using this F5 to ExtraHop SSL out-of-band decrypted connection that we just set up to now have all the underlying data associated with those HTTP transactions. This all gets fed up into our detection engine, and now we have access to all this history, and the bad guys can't run from this. So we're decrypting their transactions without them having to know it, and we can see what they're doing inside of those SSL tunnels. Look, and then we can analyze the underlying protocols and offer records and detections and metrics and all the goodness that you're used to with ExtraHop. But now we've opened up that opaque SSL tunnel, including PFS TLS 1.3. I know that's been a lot. This is worth your time if you have an F5 load balancer, because once it's set up, it's easy to manage and you can turn decryption off and on without ever having to touch the production servers. Hope this is helpful, guys. Thanks so much.